The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of Lexington Community Radio or its board of directors. The views expressed are solely those of the programmers.
You are listening to Off the Cuff. Now, here's your host, Adam Banks.
Welcome, everybody, to Off the Cuff. I am Adam Banks, coming at you live from Lexington, Kentucky. Thank you for listening to the show, and thank you for tuning in to WLXU 93.9 FM. In addition to listening to us on the radio, you can check out our Facebook live stream at Off the Cuff with Adam Banks. You can also broadcast the show, stream the show from anywhere in the entire world at radiolex.us. I am broadcasting from the Deborah Hensley Studios here at Radio Lex on North Limestone. It is November the 6th, 2025. And folks, I had a great weekend celebrating the 600th episode of Off the Cuff with Adam Banks. You are currently listening to episode 601 of the entire show. And I got to celebrate it in Nashville, Tennessee at the 11th annual Josie Music Awards. I was down there as a second time nominee for Radio Show of the Year. Now, I did not go home with the hardware, but I did lose to the best person that I could have lost to in that category. That is Overtones Live, a radio program that is actually at the same place that Off the Cuff broadcast from, right here at Radio Lex. My radio station, Radio Lex, was nominated for Radio Station of the Year. It was just a big night to celebrate. So many friends I got to see, I got to interact with. It was just an aura being at the Grand Ole Opry. So I just want to say congratulations to the winners, Renee and Warren Cobb, for winning Radio Show of the Year. I've worked with them so many times, and they are great friends and great colleagues, and just so happy to have them in my life. And I couldn't think of anybody who deserves that award more than them. And I will say, the Grand Ole Opry, it's always a blast just to go there. The venue in itself is really cool. I mean, they got church pews, for crying out loud, for the seating. It was really nice. It will be on TV this year. They didn't broadcast the award show live, but it will be on a streaming network sometime soon. It was cool. Lori Morgan was there. She won the Lifetime Achievement Award. It was just really cool. She looks like an old country star. Exactly how you would picture Lori Morgan to look, she looked it. Ed Begley was there. She won the Icon Award. She actually accepted the award via video, but she is the voice of Tommy Pickles from the Rugrats. She was a Powder Puff Girl. She was the voice behind the 2.5 Men theme song. It was a cool night. There was also a songwriter there. I can't think of his name, but he wrote over like 300, 400, 500 songs. He's written for Garth Brooks. He's written for Kenny Rogers. He sang that. He wrote the song Through the Years. I can't even think of what his name is, but he was there. It was just really cool to rub elbows with so many people in the music industry. The experience itself was a blast, and I got to experience Nashville just a tad. I was there for 2 days. I went to John Daly's bar and watched my friends Andrew Moore and Hooch perform there. A really cool bar. I like it. If I was going to recommend a place for people to go in Nashville just to relax, listen to some good, fun live music, go to John Daly's bar. Outside, instead of having benches outside for people to sit on, he's got truck tailgates for people to sit on. Every bench looks like a truck tailgate. It actually is a truck tailgate with the headlights and everything. It's a really endearing and classy bar. I enjoyed it. And now, folks, believe it or not, we are gearing up for the 12th annual Lexington Music Awards, which will take place in March. I just got a notification that in a little over 2 weeks, maybe a little under 2 weeks, they will be releasing the public ballot for nominations for the Lexies. I would really appreciate my listeners to nominate me when that comes out for Radio DJ of the Year, and nominate Off the Cuff with Adam Banks for Radio Program of the Year. It would be a blessing to win that award again, and it would really mean a lot. And you guys know, anytime I get to do anything like this, it's only because you allow me to do it. So I just want to say thank you so much. I just seen that they released People's Sexiest Man Alive edition of their magazine. Now, magazines are one of those things that many people don't read like they used to. Back in the day, magazines were pretty popular. People magazine is a big celebrity entertainment magazine. It's about pop culture. It's kind of like the Off the Cuff of magazines. And they have a special edition every year that comes out called the Sexiest Man Alive edition. And on the cover, they pick somebody in the world, some man, and they call him the sexiest man alive. This year, his name is Jonathan Bailey. He was named the 2025 Sexiest Man Alive. I have no idea who that is. But that is a fascinating thing that we still even have it. What is considered sexy? I would like to know what the guidelines are for that category. How do you win that category? They've been doing this since 1985. Mel Gibson was the first ever Sexiest Man Alive named by People magazine at the age of 29. And then it went to Mark Harmon in 86. Then Harry Hamlin, John F. Kennedy Jr., Sean Connery, Tom Cruise, Patrick Swayze, Nick Nolte, Richard Gere, Keanu Reeves, Brad Pitt, Denzel Washington, George Clooney, Harrison Ford. Richard Gere won again. Then Brad Pitt won again. Pierce Brosnan, Ben Affleck, Johnny Depp, Jude Law, Matthew McConaughey, George Clooney for the second time, Matt Damon, Hugh Jackman, Johnny Depp, Ryan Reynolds, Bradley Cooper, Channing Tatum, Adam Levine in 2013, Chris Hemsworth in 2014, David Beckham, Dwayne Johnson, that's The Rock, got it in 2016, Blake Shelton, Idris Elba, John Legend, Michael B. Jordan, Paul Rudd, Chris Evans, Patrick Dempsey, Jonathan Bailey, and then last year was John Krasinski. So I don't even know some of these people. The oldest person on the list, I believe, was in his 50s. It was Richard Gere when he took it home. Harrison Ford actually took it home at 56. I'm sorry. Sean Connery was the oldest. He took it home at 59. The youngest, of course, is only 27, and that went to, age 29. It was Mel Gibson. He was the first ever and the youngest to do it. A very ridiculous addition. A very just kind of an outdated thing to still have, but I seen that was released and I went down a rabbit hole. Folks, we have a great show ahead of you today. You are listening to Off the Cuff with Adam Banks. Stick with us. We will be right back.
What's that sound? Hear it all around. Hey, hear the sound of a freight train coming. I know it's up around.
Welcome back, everybody. Back to Off the Cuff with Adam Banks. Adam Banks here with you. I was sitting on my back porch last night, and I was just so relaxed because of the ambiance that I got to experience while sitting out on my back porch. I just got to listen to the sound of nighttime. Crickets. Just crickets. I don't know what else is in that nighttime soundtrack besides crickets, but there is such a beautiful soundtrack to the nighttime, especially in the summertime, in the fall. There is just such an ambiance to the background noise of just sitting on a nice, peaceful evening on your back porch. You know what I'm talking about. It's the same thing about like sitting on your front porch on a beautiful day, listening to the birds chirp. It's amazing how sounds can make us relax. When you go in for a massage, what do they always have playing? They have some ambiance music, because music, ambiance sounds relax us. And isn't it amazing that nature can make its own sounds? Nature has some beautiful sounds that really relax our souls. I mean, it's from the earth. It's a natural sound. It's not computer created. It's not human generated. It is a natural, beautiful sound. And those are some of the best sounds in the world, right? Human sound, or sounds that are just so satisfying. Sounds that don't come from a computer, sounds that don't come from human beings, really, per se, but just the natural sounds that the environment gives us. And there's a lot of satisfying sounds that people just love hearing, whether that's a baby crying, or a baby laughing, or maybe somebody popping their knuckles. I don't know. There's just certain sounds that people find satisfying. So I started thinking about some of the most satisfying sounds in the world, and think about those sounds that make us smile, that make our souls just feel fulfilled and content. So I would like to dive in on this segment into some of the most satisfying sounds in the world, those small, perfect noises that instantly make life feel just a little more peaceful, cozy, or just complete. And, I was talking about the ambiance that I was listening to the other night, or last night rather. But man, there is really nothing like listening to on a rainy day when you're laying in the bed and you're listening to the rain just fall on your roof, like this noise right here. Just the sound of thunder occasionally breaking in every now and then. And then you've got the rain just gently hitting your roof. And bonus points if you live in a place with a tin roof. I mean, couldn't you sleep like a baby? I mean, when it is raining outside, I get so excited when it's raining at nighttime, because that means I'm about to get some daggone good sleep. Folks, not only do we have like the beautiful sounds of the rain hitting the roof, but what about the sounds of the ocean? I know that I'm not the only one when they go on a beach trip. They open their window or they open their door just to hear the ocean in the background. I mean, we only, as people who live in Kentucky, get to hear this sound once a year, if we're lucky. But just something powerful about the waves crashing together is so soothing and so peaceful. There is a reason why people can just go on the beach for hours and sit on the beach and not do anything at all except sit there, because they're listening, they're relaxing. It calms their soul, it calms their mind. Okay, this next one is one of my favorites. The sound of a campfire. The crackling of the wood. I could fall asleep by a campfire in 5 minutes. I love the sound of a crackling fire in a house, at a campsite. It doesn't matter. I love the sound of a fire pit. Again, it's one of those things that people can sit around for hours and not say anything at all. Just listen to the sound of the crackling of a fire. This is what I was hearing last night, folks. This is kind of what inspired me to have this segment, was this ambiance sound right here. This is one of the most satisfying sounds in the world. This is just got summer written all over it. And we're still in that part of the year where we can hear a little bit of this, but by this time next week, that's probably going to disappear. But man, when you walk outside on a June, July, August night and you hear this, there's just something so nostalgic about it. I don't know, it just reminds me of my childhood. And then this is the opposite. In the middle of the day, when you're sitting on the porch, on the front porch, on a beautiful sunny day, listening to the birds chirp. What a beautiful, satisfying sound that is. Just listening to the birds have conversations and sing. I mean, whenever you're talking to somebody on the phone and you hear that their background is a bunch of birds whistling, don't you wish you were where they are? Because obviously it's a beautiful place wherever they're at. All right, so there are more satisfying sounds out there than just nature. There's simple sounds that we find satisfying. So I would like to share some other sounds that I find satisfying other than just nature sounds, like the pouring of a cup of coffee. Listen here. I'm already awake by just hearing that. Now, some people listening on the radio would think somebody's using the bathroom, but no, that, folks, is the sound of a good morning. That is the sound of a caffeinated great morning right there. Just the pour of a coffee. Some people find this sound really satisfying. Just the pop of a cork. I get it. It's one of those things where you feel a sense of completion once you pop the cork. I mean, when the cork pops off, that means the bottle's open. It's time to celebrate. What about this little simple sound right here of just the sound of a basketball going into the goal and swishing in the net? Now, this is probably one of the most satisfying sounds in the world to most people, and that's the sound of a baby laughing. I mean, if that doesn't put you in a good mood, folks, I don't know what would. If that doesn't make you smile and have peace in your heart, there ain't another sound out there that's going to do it. I mean, you have pure innocence and pure joy right there in a little baby laughing. And you know that they're not fake laughing at your jokes. They really find whatever you're doing absolutely hilarious in their little mind. I love that sound effect. Now, I've got one more, and this is one of the most satisfying sounds to me in the world. This reminds me of my childhood. This reminds me of just family. This reminds me of a full house. This reminds me just of community. Just a place where there's a lot of love. And I'm talking about the sound of eggs frying on a skillet. Folks, when I wake up and the first thing that I hear in the morning is this sound right here, I know that it's going to be a good morning because I've got loved ones in the other room, because nobody else is cooking for me unless they love me. Usually when you hear this sound, somebody loves you enough to be in the kitchen cooking for you. And when I wake up and I hear this sound, I know that I'm going to be greeted with love and laughter and warmth. And not to mention, get a really good breakfast. So you got that to look forward to as well. Just the amazing sound of frying an egg. Man, that sizzle when the egg hits the pan. I mean, that is breakfast in progress. It's warm. It's homely. It's instantly comforting. I mean, you can almost smell the toast and whew, makes me miss my mama. But there are so many different sounds that people find satisfying. There are a lot of horrific sounds that people can't stand. Like, for instance, the screeching of a fork on a plate. Maybe one day, if you guys can handle it, I'll do a segment on some of the most uncomfortable sounds in the world. But those, I feel like, are some of the most satisfying sounds that people can hear and people can appreciate right there. And you let me know on the show thread if there are any sounds that I didn't play that you find very satisfying, and maybe we can do a part 2 of this. All right, folks, we still have lots more Off the Cuff with Adam Banks coming your way after these words. Stick with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks here with you. I've been talking about sounds today on the show. A while ago, I was talking about some of the most satisfying sounds in the world that most people enjoy. And I'm a big sound guy. This is radio. You can't really see the show unless you're watching on Facebook Live, but this is a show where you got to listen to it. It's a radio show, so sound is a big part of my life. I have to think a lot of the times with a sound mind, no pun intended. But I do that because you guys can't see things, so it makes me focus on a lot of topics dealing with sound. So I would like to play a game with you guys. Something fun, something interactive for those listening, driving down the road, listening at home, or wherever you may be listening to the show. We all watch some type of streaming platform service, whether that be Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, YouTube. We all watch some type of streaming service. Most of us. I would guarantee it would be safe to say that 99% of people watch at least one streaming service, especially now that sports are on streaming services like Prime. So whether or not you listen to it on a daily basis, sometime or another you've listened to a streaming service. Now, this game is going to be really easy for you if you have a lot of streaming services. But this game is going to be very difficult for you if you do not have a streaming service. So I want you to guess what intro sound, what streaming service this intro sound comes from. Every single streaming platform, whether it be Netflix or Hulu, they have a intro sound. When the platform starts up, when it first powers on your TV, there is a sound effect that streaming platform uses, and each platform has their own sound effect that they use. So I would like to play a game with you guys to see at home if you can guess the streaming platform sound. Now, I'll reveal the answer because obviously there's no callers to call in today. I'm not going to open the phones for that because I just want to see how many you could get right. So keep score at home. These are some streaming platform intro sounds, and I want you to take a guess and see if you can guess which one that I play. So here is the very first one. All right, did you guess what that is? Very simple, to the point. All right, if you guessed YouTube, you got it. That is when YouTube Original shows any type of original content. They play that music before they start it. Let's see if you can get the next one. Oh, I know you're thinking, oh, I know what that is. I just can't guess what it is. So I'll give you another shot. Here, listen. If you guessed Peacock, you would be correct. Now, let's take a listen at the next one. That is Sony Originals. That is one that I wouldn't have known. I probably would have known all of these, but the Sony one I don't know because I don't have that streaming service. Here's the next one. Now, if you don't get that one, you might not have a television in your house. I believe everyone who's anybody knows what streaming service that is from. Let's listen to it one more time. That is the Netflix startup sound for the Netflix platform. Now, this is an interesting fun fact about that sound. It was designed by Lon Bender, who is an Academy Award winner. He has scored a lot of films, a lot of television shows, so it makes sense that Netflix would put a lot of money into that sound effect for their streaming platform. Okay, here's the next one. That would be Disney Plus. Okay, here's the next one. Now, a lot of people who don't have Netflix have that one. I'll play it one more time. All right, if you guessed Hulu, you would be correct on that streaming platform. Let's take a listen at the next one. All right. Do you know what it is? If I had to guess, I would say most people would get that one wrong. Let's listen to it one more time. That is Amazon. So if you've got Amazon Prime, that is what you hear when you start up their streaming service. Let's take a listen at the next one. You're thinking, man, they're all starting to sound the same. All right, let's take a listen at that one more time. Because, yeah, they all kind of do sound the same a little bit. But if you pay attention, you'll know that it's not the same. So let's see if you can get this one right here. That was Amazon. Here we go. That was Paramount, folks. Paramount Plus. Here's the next one. That was Apple TV. Here's the next one. And that is the Discovery. Now, the next one, I couldn't find it, or I didn't have it pulled up, but it's the Tubi one. Tubi. But it kind of gives it away, but it's got a really cool ring to it. It's just kind of funny that every single piece of streaming platform has some type of marketing tool with it, and it's always music. We did a whole segment on this show of some of the best network channel theme songs, and we talked about ABC's and NBC's and CBS. We talked about Fox and how they all have their own theme music. Well, the same thing can be said about these streaming platforms. So if you are an avid streaming watcher, you probably did really well on that segment. But today, folks, we have a great song of the week to play. I am very excited to play this one right here because, folks, I got to hear her perform, and she was so cool. Her name is Miss Lori Morgan, and what I like about Lori is she is old school country. I mean, she came out with that dazzling guitar, she came out with that dazzling dress, and she just made you feel like you were at the Grand Ole Opry. She didn't sing the song that I wanted her to sing, which was Monday, which is never good anyway. Tuesday, I get a little sideways. That's my favorite Lori Morgan song. But she sang some type of George Jones song, so not even an original. But because I love that song so much and because Lori Morgan performed at the Josies, and I just recently got to see her live, how about a little Lori Morgan with the song she didn't sing that I wanted her to sing, but I'm going to play it for you here on Off the Cuff. We'll be back after the song. Former U.S. Vice President Dick Chaney dies at the age of 84. Dick Chaney was a driving force behind the U.S. invasion of Iraq in 2003, and he was considered by presidential historians as one of the most powerful vice presidents in U.S. history. What I remember about Dick Chaney was that he was a master debater. He was a brilliant guy. He didn't really like the limelight all that well. He was a very soft-spoken guy, and he didn't speak up much. But when he did speak, it was always so powerful, and it was very intelligent. But he pulled a lot of strings behind the scenes. A lot of people said that he had a lot of power when he was in the Bush administration. A lot of people said it was Dick Cheney that was pulling the strings behind the scenes. And nobody would have ever thunk it because George Bush was such a front man. He was he was right in your face. He was in the cameras. Everybody focused on him, and that's typically how it is. But I don't think in the history of our country had we had a vice president do so much as Dick Cheney did behind the scenes. Now, I'm not saying that I agreed with what Dick Cheney did behind the scenes, but that is a fact that he did pull a lot of strings behind the scenes. He died at the age of 84 years old on Monday from complications of pneumonia and cardiac and vascular disease. Here's something wild about Dick Cheney. He suffered his first heart attack at the age of 37, and he had a plethora of heart attacks throughout his life. He had a heart transplant in 2012. So to live to 84 years old with a weak heart like that is very interesting, fascinating, and amazing, to say the least. But one of the things that I always remember about Dick Cheney, like I said, was the fact that he was a master debater. And it reminds me of a moment during the 2004 vice presidential debate that he had with John Edwards. I mean, Dick Cheney absolutely mopped the floor with John Edwards, mopped the floor with that fella. I mean, he made him look just like a little kid. I mean, he destroyed him in a debate within 30 seconds. And I'm going to play that clip for you here in just momentarily. But he served as vice president, talking about Chaney from 2001 to 2009. Dick Chaney was big on presidential power. He felt like that presidents have lost their power in this country. He says it's not been the same since the Nixon days. And I guess it's just the trust that the country lost in the president. But he was big on getting the president power and making sure that the president had a lot of power. So I think that, Dick Chaney will go down in history as one of the most influential vice presidents that we ever had. But take a listen, folks, back to this day, October the 5th, 2004, when he had a vice presidential debate with John Edwards in Kentucky, by the way. And within 30 seconds, Dick Chaney destroyed John Edwards. And the way Dick Chaney handled himself, he was so soft-spoken. He didn't get above a whisper. He didn't get excited. But the things he said had so much power behind it. The things he said had so much meaning behind it. And in this 30-second clip, he's absolutely just going to destroy John Edwards within 30 seconds. Take a listen.
Senator, frankly, you have a record in the Senate that's not very distinguished. You've missed 33 out of 36 meetings of the Judiciary Committee. Almost 70% of the meetings of the Intelligence Committee. You've missed a lot of key votes on tax policy, on energy, on Medicare reform. Your hometown newspaper has taken to calling you Senator Gone. You've got one of the worst attendance records in the United States Senate. Now, in my capacity as Vice President, I am the President of the Senate, the presiding officer. I'm up in the Senate most Tuesdays when they're in session. The first time I ever met you was when you walked on the stage tonight.
Oh, man. Oh, man. I remember that moment, how I wanted to crawl under the table for him. And I was just like a 16-year-old teenager there. But that was just what I'm talking about. That was an example of just the power that Dick Chaney had with his words. He was a force to reckon with, a master debater. I would not want to debate him. I love to argue. I like to debate about things that I'm passionate about, but I would not go into battle against Dick Chaney. He did pass away at the age of 84 years old. I'm surprised there's not been a lot of news coverage on this. Usually when a president dies, which makes sense, that's all the news talks about. But we're talking about, at one point in time, the second most powerful man in the country, and served the country for 8 years as vice president. So I am surprised that it's not been getting the news coverage. That's surprising. But here on Off the Cuff with Adam Banks, that's the best place to get your news anyway. So there you go, folks. God be with Dick Chaney and his family. And I do pray for peace and healing during this sad moment for the Chaney family. But folks, we still have one more segment to go. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Come on and slam, and welcome to the jam. Come on and slam, if you wanna jam.
Welcome back, everybody, to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks here with you. Last segment of the hour. Today's national holiday is National Basketball Day, my favorite sport in the entire world, most particularly college basketball. I've gotten the opportunity to watch the Cats at home at Rupp Arena for the last couple of games. They had their season opener last Tuesday with, I don't want to say an impressive win. They looked a little sloppy, but it's the first game. We're still going to be good. I'm still saying this is a Final Four team. Today is the day to celebrate National Basketball Day. Celebrate the best sport in the world. It's celebrated every year on November the 6th. The name basketball came in 1891. Naismith is the one who coined the term basketball. That's why you hear that name Naismith so much, because he's the inventor. He's the founder of the game. In 1895 is when the inaugural intercollegiate men's match held between Hamlin College and Minnesota School of Agriculture. In 1898 is when the National Basketball League is established. In 1940 is when Naismith helps establish the National Association of Intercollegiate Basketball. If you're looking for a way to celebrate National Basketball Day, well, obviously you could watch a basketball game today. A lot of games happening in the college basketball world. The NBA is also currently full speed, so you can catch an NBA game. You could play basketball, still, weather permitted. The only time you really can't play basketball is when there's snow on the ground. All other weather, all bets are off. Or you could just take a trip down memory lane, go to YouTube, and look up a lot of great historical basketball games. There's a ton. I love the buzzer beaters. I love the March Madness moments. Here are some fascinating facts about the game of basketball that will blow your mind. It says here that referees had to collect the ball from the baskets when players scored, since basketball was first played using a soccer ball and a peach basket. That's right. When James Naismith invented basketball, he did it using a peach basket and a soccer ball, and he was a gym teacher. And he wanted to create something fun for his students to do, so he created a game, and boy, oh boy, did that game get legs. And ended up becoming one of the most iconic games of any sport to ever be played. Imagine the world without basketball. James Naismith is also credited with inventing the first football helmet. What a smart guy. Maybe the most influential guy to the game of sports. He created basketball and is also credited with inventing the first football helmet. What? Here's another fun fact. Surprisingly, players were not allowed to dribble past opponents in earlier versions of the game. Another fun fact, there was no restriction to the number of players on the court when basketball was established, and some teams had as many as 50 players on the court at once. Yeah, anytime a sport gets established, you gotta work through the kinks. Baseball is not the same as it was when it first started. Neither was football, and neither is basketball. And guess what, folks? We're still making changes. Take baseball, for instance. It used to take 6, 7, 8 hours for a baseball game to take place. Okay, I'm being a little extreme, using a hyperbole there, but they had to get a hold of how long the games were taking, so they put a pitching clock out there and put a time limit on how long the pitcher can hold the ball before he throws it, which was a smart move. So they're always improving the game, and I'm sure that basketball will evolve as it has. Remember, the three-point line used to not even be in college basketball. There was no three-point line in the NBA. That was added to the game later. All of these different things were added later to become what it is. When basketball first started, it wasn't what we know it as today. It was just very simple. A peach basket and a soccer ball. There really wasn't even rules of dribbling or anything like that. This was just kind of how it got started. And then finally, another fun fact about the game of basketball, the popular slam dunk move was banned before the 1967-1968 season and was only reinstated in the 1976-1977 season. So they banned the slam dunk move for a long, long time, and they only reinstated it for one season after that. You can't do the slam dunk. Now, you can dunk, don't get me wrong, but you can't hang on the goal like you used to. Those slam dunks that people do, you can technically get technicals for that, just depending on the referee. The slam dunk is one of the most exciting things that can happen during the game of basketball. So I love that. Basketball is just so great. The world is your stage. If you play basketball, you can play it anywhere. You can play it out in front of your house, out behind your house, in a park, in a school gym. There's really no other, it's not a hard place to find to play the game. You can really play it almost anywhere. You can play it anywhere. And it's also a health booster. Basketball improves your physical fitness. It also stimulates your mental health. It's just a terrific way to get a full body workout. When I do any type of basketball, when I do any type of running, I'm extremely exhausted, extremely tired, and I do feel like I've worked out. I would rather play a game of basketball than go to the gym for an hour. And you'll probably get a better cardio and a better workout by just moving your body like you do in the game of basketball. But that, folks, is some fun facts about the game. Happy National Basketball Day. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in to episode 601. Thank you for everyone who reached out and said congratulations for the 600th episode. Thank you guys so much for all of your support over the last couple of months with my Josie Award nomination. One day, folks, one day, Off the Cuff is going to bring home that gold. But we're looking forward to the Lexies. If you liked what you heard today, you'll probably like all of our previous episodes. We archive them all on podcasts. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you stream your podcast. You can follow the show on social media at Off the Cuff with Adam Banks. You can follow me, the show host, on social media at The Adam Banks. We release new episodes every Thursday from 4 to 5 right here on WLXU 93.9, which means we will be back same time, same place. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Adam Banks, the king of radio, and this is Off the Cuff. I'll catch you down the road.